back in the day. I mean, we had some great workouts and everything was going real good until I got to about 500 pounds on the squat. And old Jay, every time he was clocking out.
I quit.
But up until then, Jay was doing pretty good. He was one of the best workout partners I've ever had in my life until I got to a certain weight. And then old Jay had enough and he was looking for the nearest dinner table or the nearest chair he could sit in and take it easy and watch me while I lifted some lightweight, baby! Yeah, buddy!
That was at like midnight, by the way, because we were training in the middle of the night because Ronnie stays up all night. Any of you guys that know that followed him for a long time, every time we'd leave, we would finish training sometimes 1 or 2 in the morning. I'd say, Ronnie, what are you going to do? He'd go back to his room and answer all the fan mail, which is why I have so much respect for him. He was the greatest ambassador to his fans, always supportive. He truly, like, look at this crowd. Like, you guys, it's so packed in this place. I know what he's saying. It's amazing for us now that we've been away from the stage for so long. We have so many stories. We had the greatest rivalry you'll ever see in bodybuilding, and you know, he got me a lot of those times. You know, I got sick of being second to Ronnie Coleman. So by the time I was actually able to win,
I was an old man.
Yes, he got a little older. He got a little older, and I had to wait for that. We had a lot of fun. It was very challenging. He gave me a lot of motivation. You guys have seen my speeches over the years. If it wasn't for him, I wouldn't have been as great as I was on stage. And you know, I appreciate, you know, that battle so many times. But man, every time I thought I was going to win, and I show up and he'd take his clothes off backstage, and I said, "Oh shit, next year."
How did you approach that, Jay, when you know you had to compete against this type of athlete, like superior, like to anyone in the gym, freaky body parts, but also deliver the condition we haven't seen since, I don't know, Dorian Yates at the time?
I mean, listen, it was his training nature. I mean, like he said it, you know, I knew I was working hard on all my workouts in Vegas, and you know, he was training in the dungeon of a gym, but you know, you have people that inspire you. You have a reason you get on stage. I mean, Ronnie said, you know, his passion in the beginning, he picked up as a young child because his physique looked good naturally. And that's where I had a lot of recognition also. I grew up working in concrete, my family business. So, you know, I always was approached by people saying, wow, well, how do you develop your body? And I didn't even work out. I just had great genetics. So when I actually started picking up weights, I said the same thing. If I start lifting weights, what are people going to say to me? We all want to have the ability to impress at certain things, and you're always going to have people around you that encourage you to go to the gym, but you have to have the goal inside yourself. I mean, all the people in this room, there's a reason you're here. We have a passion for fitness. Now, going to the gym and training different routines, I know there's a lot of information out there, and you can watch some of our old videos, but we followed the early days of Arnold Schwarzenegger or Lee Haney or, you know, the people that came before us that inspired us to actually get into it. I mean, I think Lee Haney was someone you looked up to a lot. And I mean, I looked up to Ronnie Coleman because he was a guy that I saw in the magazines coming up. And, you know, next thing I know, we're battling it on stage, and it was him and I for a very long time. But even someone that's competitive with you, you have reasons to find yourself to go harder to the gym. There's a lot of days we don't feel like working out at certain times. You have to find what works best for your schedule. But I think, you know, for me, I looked at Ronnie as, wow, that's Mr. Olympia. I want that title. I'm going to drive myself to go to the gym every single day. And I knew he was working just as hard, if not harder. And obviously, one of the best physiques, if not the best of all time. And, you know, that was what I look forward to every year.
Were you worried at all, Ronnie, about Jay when he was coming up? He was very popular at the time, I remember. He's still very popular, but he was very popular when you were at the top. Were you ever worried about Jay Cutler surpassing you?
Well, when you on top, it's kind of hard to be worried about somebody else. I'm gonna tell you who I really was worried about. The person that scared me the most was me. Because every single year, I knew the formula that it took for me to win. All I had to do was to be able to either duplicate it or become better. So every single year, I was like, okay, I beat all these guys last year. I used this formula, but what do I need to do to get better? So every single year, you know, I'm thinking of what I can do to get better. You know, it worked for about maybe 2, 3, 4 years. 5 years into it, like, God damn, what? I've done just about everything I can do. What else can I do to get better? Well, of course, you kind of fall off a little bit, and you can't do too much else. And in 2002, I think, I lost the show after the Miss Olympia, and somebody beat me. And I'm like, oh man, what am I going to do? Well, every year after the Olympia, I would take about 3 months off to let my body rest, take it easy, and regroup. Well, when I got beat, the only thing I could think of is, ain't no taking off this year. So in 2003, when you saw me come back, a little bit different, about 40 pounds heavier, you know. Only thing I could do was not take a break.
How did you add 40 pounds? Like, how did you do that when you're already at that size? Like 40 pounds?
Well, in 2001, the judges came to me and said, hey, Ronnie, you're getting a little bit too big there. You might need to come down a little bit. So I listened to those stupid judges, and I came down a little bit. Only thing is, when I came down a little bit, I got beat. So that was the last time I listened to the judges. So instead of coming in flat, you know, and not, you know, all swole like I normally do, I just came in real flat, didn't really carb up and eat those 1,000 milligrams of carbs 3, 4 times a day like I normally do. And that kind of delayed the size and had me coming in about maybe 20 to 30 pounds lighter. So next year, like I said, I'm not listening to the judges no more. I'm gonna do what I wanna do and do it the way I wanna do it. I'm gonna come in and eat those 1,000 milligrams of carbs 2 to 3 times a day and put on some serious size. And that's exactly what I did.
Well, that was some serious size for sure. Hey, Jay, we saw a great show here yesterday. Andrew Jack looked very impressive. Who of the current guys would you like to compete against in your prime that's competing right now that you never stand next to?
I mean, I think all the guys. I think Andrew's, you know, he's obviously taller, which in our era we didn't see any really very tall guys like that. You know, I felt like we were so big at that time. It was hard for the taller guys to compete. You know, like Ronnie said, he lost to a taller guy at one point, which, you know, he didn't necessarily agree with. I think you could ask him that, but I would like to compete with all of them because they always compare eras. I mean, I'd love to compete with Dorian Yates. I'd love to compete with all those guys to be able to see how you're actually stacked up. They love to compare the eras, but, you know, Derek Lunsford's obviously Mr. Olympia. You have Samson, who's, you know, local here. He's massive. I mean, you see bodybuilding, there's different, you know, it's different structures that people are dominant in, and I think that, you know, I'd love to stand with all the guys. I think Andrew is the guy right now that people are looking at as, you know, having that crazy conditioning with the detail and, you know, the structure. We were both, you know, wide, more muscular guys. We weren't really necessarily small and aesthetic like some of the other guys like Dexter Jackson, who came up and beat me, which I never thought would happen. So I always worked on out-muscling people. It was all about going in the gym and training. That was my true passion, was working out. I love nothing more than the workouts, and I would train twice a day, do a couple cardio sessions. We were eating 6 to 10 meals a day.
10 meals a day.
Yeah, I mean, we were eating a lot, and that was our job. We were paid to do it, and I think that's where, you know, it's a little different today. I don't know how people structure their programs, but it was all bodybuilding. That's all I cared about, all we were paid to do. It was just about winning Olympias and Arnold Classics and really just being the best in the world.
Well, I'm not gonna be shameful about this, and you know, those guys today that compete, they are awesome. They are really, really, really awesome. They are really and truly off the chain, and they have some great bodies up there. They are in really good condition. They are some of the most amazing guys you're ever going to see. But I'm gonna tell y'all why Jay would love to compete against those guys. It's the simple fact that, let me see, how can I plainly put this? Let's see. Jay would probably wipe the floor with those guys. It would be those guys right here, Jay Cutler way up here somewhere, in a whole different league. But Jay is one of those guys that's very special. He ain't gonna say nothing bad about nobody. And neither am I. That's why I say those guys are awesome. But they ain't Jay Cutler awesome.
You didn't ask Ronnie. What about Ronnie? Who would you like to compete with, Ronnie?
Jay Cutler,
Yeah.
Kevin Lerone, and Flex Wheeler, because those guys are awesome and they look good, but they not Jay Cutler, good looking, Flex Wheeler, good looking, Sean Ray, Chris Camille, and the list goes a little bit on and on and on. But don't get me wrong, they look good, real good, just not our era good.
So, Ronnie, what do you think the reason is for that?
There's a precedent that's set by a certain guy. There's a guy that comes in and he is so awesome that everybody wants to look like that guy. The only thing is that guy is from that era. And that era is not the same as the era that we came from. Like I said, don't get me wrong, those guys are awesome, and nobody in here can mess with none of those guys. But like I said, those guys are from this era, and this is a great era. It's just not the era that we came from, the era of the 90s and the early 2000s, you know, the era where it stopped around 2012. When the last time you competed? 2013, 14, you know, somewhere in there, maybe 15, maybe 16. When did Phil last compete?
17 was his last.
2017, and in that era, you know, so it's a different era, but it's good. But it's not like great good. You know, the best thing that ever happened to any of us is social media. Social media can make you king of the world. In the social media era, once you step on that stage, social media is gone and you up there all alone, all by yourself. And ain't no social media to rescue you. So all you got is what you bring to that stage.
Yeah. Jay, I gotta say, you always been so cool, to say. You're always so stylish, so fresh, and as you see, you got people, kids, still looking up to you now, and how do you, what can I say, how do you make it so, there's so much, what can I say, you always have something new going while you were competing and after competing, like reinventing yourself, doing new things, and how do you structure this? How do you make everything happen? Because you did always so much.
I mean, I think what Ronnie mentioned, the social media. Listen, if the social media didn't exist, a lot of you people wouldn't necessarily be here to see what we showcase. Because I'm seeing a lot of young faces on there that weren't even born when Ronnie and I were doing the battles, and it amazes us every time because we do a lot of like meet and greets at this, and like I'm seeing her wearing my shirt down there, and I mean that's legendary, and a lot of people, you know, come to us and I say, how do you know about us? And I think we've been super active on the social media platforms, and that's everything. I think even though we were in an era of magazines, and the magazines showcased our training and our personalities, and they do a lot of behind the scenes, which now you rely on social media to learn about the person. And I think it's really great that a lot of you people get to see our personalities online and see how we are. And when you come and meet with us, our biggest goal, and this goes for Ronnie also, is you're never afraid to meet your heroes, because we always take the time. I mean, if anyone goes out of their way from an era, he talked about eras, we always try to make ourselves available for the fans. That was, like I mentioned, when we would travel, he would stay up all night, and we used to handwrite fan letters until email came about, and then we'd email everyone, and you know, through the social media channels, anyone that's, you know, probably hit me up on Instagram or different ways that you can get in touch with me, social media, Facebook. I always try to comment back. I take the time to do it. And I think it's just keeping up with the generations, because we are here to inspire. Like Ronnie talked about, we can talk about stories all day. And like I said, it comes from the passion, but at the same time, we are trying to be relative with what everyone's dreams and passions are, because we were able to do it at a high level. We had the stage to do that. Now today, you don't have to have necessarily a Mr. Olympia title to be popular. You can just showcase talents on social media. Everyone has a certain following, and we love the competitive side. Like, we trained to be great on the stage because we had no other reason to do what we did. It was all about the stage. Now today, like Ronnie said, you can be famous on Instagram, you can be popular on Instagram and get recognition that way. We had to stand on the stage to do that. So I think it's really great that you have such a general audience. We appreciate all ages come to us. We just finished a meet and greet we were doing double pictures with people, and I mean, the parents are bringing their children now. The next generation comes and supports us, and like I said, they were witness to probably the greatest rivalry, which at the time was very frustrating for me. Honestly, I really wanted to win badly, and he was walking away with the first place prize, $100,000 USD, to win the biggest title in the world. Andrew Jack 2 weeks ago won $750,000 on the Arnold Classic stage. So the money factor has changed a lot, and we did it truly for the passion. If we did it for the money, we weren't paid very well to do it, to be honest. We truly loved it, and we spent all our money on our food and traveling, and we like some cars too, Ronnie. We used to spend some money on some cars, but it was all about just going to the gym and training, be able to do it, and I think that's, you know, we're staying hip to the times, and I think that's, you know, just staying reactive with everyone, and, you know, we all both have a lot of things going on, a lot of business, and we travel every single week somewhere. We try to spend as much time with our family and friends, but our time is dedicated when we're at these places for the fans, like you guys all sitting here. I still look out at this crowd and I see so many people, I mean, all the way back there, we see the cameras. Guys, we appreciate this so much.
So much. I want to sum it up like this. Andrew Jack made $750,000 at one show what, 2 weeks ago. He'll win 250,000 with this show 2 weeks later. So in like 2 weeks, he'll win $1 million. It took me 10 years to make $1 million. I made $110,000 8 years in a row for winning 8 Mr. Olympias. So just to sum it up, just how, I guess, popular bodybuilding has gotten, and it's all because of you guys. And like I was saying earlier, we really, really, really appreciate and love you guys for coming out and supporting the sport of bodybuilding, because without you guys, we wouldn't be nothing. I most definitely wouldn't be too much of nothing, and I most definitely wouldn't be able to bring this beautiful woman right beside me to sit next to my right. That is my lovely Susan. And right now I just recognize Susan because the reason why I'm still here is because she does a wonderful job of taking care of me and our 8 kids. Yeah, buddy. 8 kids, 8 Mr. Olympias. God is good, and every time you find a wonderful wife like I got right next to me, you could thank God, because without...
Hold it in the middle.
Oh.
Just hold it now.
Okay. Every time you wonder where your next meal is coming from and who's cleaning the house and cooking the clothes and looking after those 8 kids, it is so good to have a lovely wife like the one sitting right next to me. So thank you, Susan. Really appreciate you. A whole lot. Yeah, buddy. A lot of y'all guys know what I'm talking about.
Jay, you touched up on social media. How do you stay out of the noise and block the... I remember when you lost your title and some people gave up on you. It was very crazy to me that they gave up so fast on him after he just lost 1 title. I just saw a lot of sponsors leave and a lot of people were writing you off. How do you stay away from the negative things on social media and block all the noise and actually improve and come back better?
Yeah, listen, you got to have a lot of belief in yourself, and sometimes we get caught up in, looking at things on social media and listen to the comments. You surround yourself with a lot of people. When you become super popular, you do gather quite a bit of crowd, an entourage, I say. So you show up at the gym, there's people that weren't there in the beginning, they weren't there in the trenches when you started off. And the truth is you have to learn how to wean that out. I mean, as your popularity rises, you're going to build more fans. But like I said, if you truly believe in yourself and you can push yourself every single day and not get discouraged. I mean, part about winning the championships, I had a lot of letdowns prior to getting to the top. When we started qualifying for the Mr. Olympia back in the early days, my first Mr. Olympia, I was 15 out of 16. And Ronnie was last out of 16 guys. Yeah, so we started at the back, and then I finished, the second Olympia, I would finish 8th. And then I moved to second to this guy over and over until I won. And then, of course, 1, 2, lost 1, came back, 1, 2 more. So, I mean, I wanted to have a string. My goal was to actually win 5. So I had that on my bucket list. I didn't realize Phil Heath would come up so fast behind me, and then he won 7 after I did. So I was kind of in between a crazy era of string of Olympias, and now you've seen lately that it seems to change hands every year or two. We talk about, the competition and the field of guys that's out there. But for me, I loved, like I said, I loved the training so much. I never got discouraged about how I placed. I can't control the judges, how they choose the winner. I always just tried to bring my best to the stage, and we all have different circumstance or variables that would sometimes, like Ronnie said, it doesn't go as planned, and you try to show up your best. And every year, I would sit with my whole family after winning an Olympia and say, how can I be better for next year? It was never good enough, and that's why I had the mindset, and I use that today in my relationships and all the business that I do. I'm super driven, and that's just something inside of you. You're just born with that passion and that drive and that determination and that positive energy, that anything you do the best of your ability, and you have a certain thing that drives you inside. And listen, it helps when you have a great team around you. You have your people that do care about you and support you, because bodybuilding is not only individual. It takes more. It takes a team for us to train consistent and eat the food and get the tanning done, and then the business and travel and get up on this platform and perform at our best and wow the crowd. And I think that's something for me. I just have that energy, and I think that's something that we have to build upon. Everyone has greatness inside of them, no matter what it is. You just have to find what that journey is and truly believe in it. And listen, don't be afraid to get knocked down.
Did you always had it? How did you work on it? How did you, because everyone's talking about it, how do you get that drive and work on it?
Because I had a family business. We had ups and downs. I was kind of taught, no matter what, work through it. Don't get discouraged. I wanted to be great at something. When I joined the gym, I realized how great I was at putting muscle on. I never thought I could ever, looking at magazines and seeing pictures of Ronnie Coleman or meeting him in person and saying he's so much bigger than I was, I never thought that would be me. And then within 2 or 3 years, here I was challenging, the #1 guy on the planet and, doing those battles. And, you don't realize how fast things can come if you just dedicate the time and put the work in. And that's, I think, what Ronnie, as much as he talks about eras and it's the different, without the phones in the gym and social media, like, we just went to work and we did it without cameras. Today I feel like to be recognized, I think that people have to post and show their accomplishments, where there was no one watching when we were in the gym training. He was not joking. He was in the corner squatting 700 on a Friday night at 11:30 p.m. And I'm sitting there saying, how am I going to beat this guy if he's over there squatting at 11:30 at night? I didn't want to be there, truly, but the reason I was there is because he made me come. And I was the guy that was challenging him, and that just shows his character, because everywhere we would go, he said, okay, it's time to eat, it's time to train. So he mentored me in a way, even though I was the guy challenging him. So I think he's being humble. He was never nervous that I was going to beat him, because he actually told me, you're never going to beat me. He said I needed to be reborn with genetics to beat him.
I didn't say it quite like that.
Yes, you did.
You gotta die.
You sure did.
You gotta die and be reborn again. And
That's right.
Pray for better genetics in order to beat me.
See, what he was saying, he
said I had to die and be reborn with genetics. Okay, that's what he said.
There you go. That's what I said.
But he still took me through the workouts. We ate. But the funny thing is, I never asked him, Ronnie, what are you doing, like, different, or like, what do you do to eat, to, how's your training? I just watched. I was a witness to his heavy training. And, like I said, Ronnie would show up. We would show up. He would fly on the plane in tights.
Yep.
And the veins would be coming out of the tights, and he'd be walking through the airport, and he's like, okay, let's go to the gym.
Yeah, buddy.
He wanted to go right to the gym, right from our plane. And you said that's what he did here. He still does the same thing. I think Arnold does the same thing, to be honest. Arnold flies here and goes to the gym, too.
Yep.
Ronnie, we want to know, you got so many titles, and everyone knows you're the king of bodybuilding, the greatest of all time. What means the most to you with everything you've done, everything you've done?
What means the most to me is that I won one, because like I said, you know, coming up, you know, I never ever wanted to be a bodybuilder. I actually went to college, got my college degree in accounting, and thought, you know, one day I was going to be this great accountant because during college I made straight A's and B's the whole time I was there, and I just figured, hey, I'll just get this job in accounting. I'll be good in accounting, and that's the way I was going to do for the rest of my life. But I've come to find out that God has a plan for each and every single one of us. And one day, while I was on the job in Arlington, Texas, working for the police department, one of the guys that I worked with asked me while I was working out, and I told him, station where it's free. He said, no, man, ain't enough wasting there for you. You need to come to this gym. So the next day, he takes me to the Metroflex gym, and the owner of the gym saw me, and back then, I was still pretty muscular. You know, I had 22-inch arms, you know, and the reason why I know that is because when I was in college, one of my professors kind of like had a bet, you know, and we brought out the tape measure, and sure enough, they were exactly 22 inches. Well, Brian saw that, and like, man, you pretty big guy. You bodybuilding? Like, no, dude. You know, at this time, I had switched from being an accountant to a police officer. So I figured, you know, one day I'm gonna be chief or somewhere along that line. Bodybuilding was nowhere in the cards for me. But Brian kind of like pursued me and followed God's plan for me. He sent an angel in Brian to convince me to compete by giving me a free membership to the gym. And about 4 or 5 days, every day I went to the gym, Brian, like, man, you really need to do this bodybuilding. No thanks, Brian. I'm happy being a police officer. You know, that's what I want to be. And he finally came with, I give you a free membership to the gym if you compete in this show coming up in about, 3 months away. You know, I'll teach you how to train as a bodybuilder, teach you how to diet, teach you everything you need to know. And lo and behold, my very first bodybuilding show, April 7th, 1990, I went in and won Mr. Texas, first in overall, and I did that for about, 4 or 5 shows. In that same year, I went to the Men's Nationals, the biggest bodybuilding show in the world, and placed third. And, you know, next year I went back to the Nationals, placed fourth, but they had a universe team. If you could make that universe team, you could win your pro card there. And lo and behold, I went to the Mr. Universe and won first and got my pro card my next year in bodybuilding. And, you know, the rest is pretty much history after that.
When you start with 22-inch arms, huh? That's.
Yeah.
Okay, we're gonna have some questions, okay? And remember, get some good questions in. Anyone has any good questions? We're gonna take your first question to Jay Cutler, okay? If we can get some good questions in. Yeah, you can come up. Yes. What's your question?
Mike out there?
So, first of all, I really appreciate you guys coming out here. I'm sure everyone feels the exact same. So, Jay, it's something that you touched on earlier with previously in bodybuilding, we've had lots of strings of champions winning and winning and winning, and then nowadays we've got more, like it's changed hands a lot more. Do you find it more exciting as a viewer, where you have those dominant champions and the rivalries and everyone's chasing an upset? Or do you find it more exciting now where going into a show, no one can really say who's going to win? Yeah.
I think if you had a steady rivalry, and you know, I think having a new champion is definitely more exciting, and I think that's what brings a lot of appeal. And that's obviously the open division, but there's a lot of other divisions that are popular too, whether it's men's physique or classic physique. But I think having a new champion, it does bring excitement to show. I mean, for a long time, you saw Arnold wins, 7 Olympias, Lee Haney wins 8, Ronnie wins 8. you know, I know when I lost my title and came back, there was a lot of excitement. And then obviously Phil won 7. He had the Kai Green rivalry, so I think that was a little bit exciting. But I think having a new champion and new opportunity, new faces come in, they start following people for certain reasons, I think it is definitely more exciting.
Next one for Ronnie. You can come up, yeah. What's your question?
So I just wanted to ask, what was the hardest part of your entire journey of just going through bodybuilding and obviously winning the 8 Mr. Olympias as well?
Well, for me, the hardest part was the diet. You know, when I first got into bodybuilding, how I survived was eating pizza, hamburgers. Matter of fact, I worked full time at Domino's Pizza for about 2 years, and I ate pizza every single day for about a year and a half straight, to the point I got real tired of eating pizza. But Burger King was right next door, so I would call Burger King like, hey, y'all tired of eating hamburgers? Because I'm tired of eating pizza. Y'all want to trade? They were like, yeah. And then after a while, I got tired of eating hamburgers. Well, Kentucky Fried Chicken happened to be next door to Burger King. So I called Kentucky Fried Chicken, hey, y'all tired of eating fried chicken every day? They're like, yeah. Y'all want to trade? They're like, yeah. So, you know, after a while, I got tired of eating fried chicken every single day, and Taco Bell was right next door to them. So, you know, I just called Taco Bell, asked them the same question. Next thing you know, I'm eating Taco Bell every single day. So, most definitely, the hardest thing for me was trying to go from eating hamburgers, fried chicken, what else? Pizza every single day to bodybuilding food. So that was the hardest part for me. The training was easy. That, like I said, that was my passion. You know, I enjoyed doing that from the time I was 12 years old and up until today. But the diet was most definitely the most challenging part.
We're going to do 2 more questions. One for Jay. Anyone's got a good question for Jay? Right here in the front with the glasses.
So with my career that I've got at the moment, I find it very, very hard to actually focus on the gym very well. So I was wondering, how did you guys do it with your full-time careers that you had?
I think you just have to have the right timing. So when I was going to college, when I started, the gym was open till 10 at night. I would train from 8 to 10 at night. I closed the gym every single night because I was so busy with school, and I was working a security job at the time. I used that time. And unfortunately, that was the hardest part, because there's a lot of days maybe you were tired, you're discouraged, stressed out, which can be great for the gym, but at the same time, I fit it in and made it part of my lifestyle because I loved it so much. When I get in the gym, I didn't think about all those stresses, and that's one thing about the gym where, yeah, we wanted to put on muscle or get leaner, but the outlet for the mind and obviously the stress factor was necessary. So I would just work around the schedule I had. I mean, it's called self-motivation. You can turn up the music, you can have training partners, you can train in gyms that have atmospheres, but if you're not there mentally, the workouts are gonna be not so great.
Yeah, and the same for me. It's all about thinking, and for me, what I had to do, since I worked full-time for the police department, my thing was, now how can I go home and eat every single day? How can I take a break and get a meal in each and every single day? So what I did was, you know, I got real creative since I worked for the police department, and wherever I worked, I made sure that I bid for that place. And I was able to go home and eat lunch, go home for breaks and grab a quick meal. So it's all about what Jay just said, thinking about, you know, how you're going to make it work for you. And that's how I made it work for me, by bidding for wherever I was working, making sure that I could go home and get those meals in.
Last questions for Ronnie. The last question. Who wants to get him a good last question? We got one there.
Hi there. With all your experience, what's the #1 lesson you could teach, like us, the younger generation?
Well, for me, when I first got into the sport of bodybuilding, I didn't know anything about it. I mean, nothing whatsoever. And the guy who got me in the sport was Brian Dobson. And Brian taught me a lot, and I learned a whole lot, but there was only so much knowledge I could get out of Brian. So what I did was, when Brian had taught me as much as he could, I went and found another guy that was a little bit more knowledgeable than him. And when I learned all I could from that guy, I found another guy until I got to the last guy, which was Chad Nichols, who took me to 8 Mr. Olympians in a row. So I just tell about everybody, it's all about knowledge, and knowledge is power. The more you have, the better off you're going to be. And that knowledge, like I said, took me to 8 Mr. Olympians, because once I thought I knew it all, and you know, and wasn't no more to learn, well, I didn't know it all, and there was more to learn. And I just, you know, found the guy to teach me that.
Awesome. So for you the same, Jay? The #1 lesson?
Listen, you're coming out here networking. The most important thing of the whole weekend, guys, is you made a journey here. A lot of us are introverted people. We're not super social. But the best thing you can do is surround yourself. Ronnie said knowledge is power, meeting people, relationships. I can tell you that all my successes have been because I've stepped out of my comfort zone to do things. If you just, you know, stay in the same routine, you're gonna have the same result. Sometimes you need to get in that uncomfortable situation, put yourself in these crazy crowds, come wait in long lines, come network with people. You never know where it's gonna take you. So you guys took one step forward by coming here. How many first timers do we have here coming to this expo? I mean, crazy. I hope you guys come back to the bigger ones. Every single one that's in your area, come out here, network, come out and meet the people that motivate you, meet your friends. You know, some of the best friends you'll ever make is coming out to these expos, but we appreciate you more than you can imagine. And like I said, this is just an awesome experience.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. I can't tell you how much you guys mean for bodybuilding, and I just remember when I was younger, I was always looking up to you guys, wearing what you were wearing, reading the magazines and on YouTube, all your videos, and you guys are really special. Thank you for what you guys are doing. You're inspiring us for like 20, 30 years now. It's an honor having you guys here. Thank you very, very much. It means a lot to us.
Yeah, but more importantly, thank you guys for coming out. We really mean that. You know, we can't take every picture, we can't sign every autograph, but we can damn sure try. So once again, thank you guys. Really appreciate you, really love you. Keep supporting bodybuilding. One day, we're gonna have $1 million in a show. Yeah, buddy!
Can we get up for an applause? Can we get up? And thank you, guys.